Hello everyone, in this video let us do some initial configurations when we start using test management for Jira. So in this video we will learn how to enable test management for Jira, not just for one project, but also we will enable it on a specific issue type. Along with that, we will also take a look at some configurations that we can do when we start using test management for Jira. So when you have a project in your Jira instance, after installing test management for Jira, you will be able to enable test management for Jira on that particular project by going to the project settings. So if you click on the project settings button on the left hand side, when you expand the sidebar, you can take a look at your project settings page. And if you scroll down, you have the option here to click on test management for Jira. Now from this particular section, you can simply enable or disable the test management for Jira add-on for the entire project. So there is a toggle button here called on or off, and if you click on, you can see here that you have a lot of configurations. A whole set of configurations have appeared, and one thing which I really want to do in the beginning is I want to make sure that my test management for Jira is or the ability to have test cases or basically do test executions and basically to have this feature enabled on not all of my issue types. So I just want to select maybe story because I want because stories are my requirements, and I just want to have this testing capability on stories issue type only. So this is something that I want to do, and I will simply use the toggle button here to have only story enabled. Now, before I do further configurations and before I talk about other configurations, I just want to quickly validate this. And if I go back to my my project, so right now I'm using a project called Project X. And if I go to the backlog, in my backlog, I of course have my stories, and I also have some bugs. So if I click on, let us say, one of my story here, and by the way, I'm looking at the agile board backlog basically, and you can do the same thing when you are looking at the board. On the left hand side, you have the option to take a look at the active sprint, but we are on the backlog view, and the moment I select any story, on the right hand side I have this new icon that you can see here, and if you click on this icon, you will be of course able to take a look at all the test cases that you may have. Right now we don't have any test case, but basically when you enable test management for Jira, you have this traceability section that will be available for you. Now if I open this story separately, I should see my issue view screen, and the way you start using test management for Jira, or the way you start using let us say any story, and you want to link it to a maybe test case, or maybe you want to create a test case, you can do it from this traceability section. So this is the place where you will basically start linking it to different test cases, and we have the option here to do it, which is fine, but I'm talking about story. So what if I take a look at my bug, and the moment I select my bug here, I should be able to see my my details on the right hand side, and this is fine, but I don't really see the option to take a look at the that small icon where we were able to look at the traceability, and basically this icon will let you start using test management for Jira if you're on your backlog view. But if I go to my bug again, and if I open this bug separately, maybe in my issue view screen, I may have that traceability. I just need to validate. So we don't have that traceability section here. So this is something that you should ideally do if you think you have a project with multiple issue types, but you just want to have the testing enabled, or the way to link it to a test case available for the end users, but only for a specific issue type. So use this feature, and I think it is a good thing to make sure that your interface, your Jira issue view screen is clean and it is clear for the end user. Now, this is fine. We have enabled test management for Jira on the project, and it is also enabled on a specific issue type. It could be just one issue type or multiple issue types, but there are some other things that we can also do from this configuration page. So the next section here, the next set of configurations talk about traceability sections, and it says that hide traceability sections from the issue view page when no links exist on the following. So this is actually fine. I think when you don't have any test case or test cycle linked to your issue, you want to basically hide these sections. So under your traceability, you will have a section for test case, you will have a section for test cycle and test plan, and ideally you should hide them, so which is a good thing. Then we also have one more configuration which I want to talk about today, and that is automatic traceability links. Now, what exactly is this automatic traceability links? So when you are talking about test management for Jira, you have the option to create a test case and link it to your story. And you can do that when you are looking at your, let us say, a specific story or any issue where you want to do a testing. So you can immediately start using test management for Jira by going to the issue type, and then you can create a new test case. So this is one way of doing it. You can create a test and then you can also execute it. And it really is the most simplest way of doing testing, and it is actually applicable on maybe a small project or maybe a small team where you just want to do some validations, but you just want to make sure that you're testing something. So this is something that you can do. But when you have, let us say, a bigger project, maybe you have a need for testing it properly and you just want to do it, but you also want to have different environments. For example, if you are building some web-based application where you want to make sure that you write test cases for different browsers, and you also want to link it to maybe different test cycles, and you also have the option in test management for Jira to use test plan. So you have different ways of organizing your testing, but if you want to have those traceability links created for you automatically, you can use this section here. For example, you may have a test cycle with 5 test cases, and the moment you link your test cycle to your original requirement or maybe story, you also want to display your related test cases. And same is true for test plan. This is something that you can enable if you want, but it may add a lot more information on your Jira issue view page. So this is something that you can do if you think it is needed for the end user to have all the links present and all the organizations like test cycle and test plan available and visible on the issue view screen. So this is something that you can enable, and I'll probably enable it and we'll see how it looks like. And when you enable this automatic traceability links, you have the option to enable it for not only the issue screen, but you can also do that for the test player screen. And we'll be looking at the test player screen later on. Test player screen is basically the place where you will have the list of all the tests, and you can execute them one by one. So let us enable this, and I think we'll take a look at how it works in future videos. And the last thing that I want to talk about today is the permission. Now, right now we have test management for Jira enabled for the project, and if you are not using this permissions for this project on various test management capabilities, you can just have everyone able to do everything. It is also possible to also have some better control over who can do what with the test management features. Like we have the permission to create a test case, edit a test case, and so on for different other things like test plan, test cycle, test execution, and so on. So you can actually enable this. And when you enable this, you have the option to use in your permissions either individual user, project role, or maybe a group. So this is something that you can use if you think you need better control over the permission. So for this particular set of configurations, I just want to keep it off because I want this ability to basically have all the features enabled for me. So let us keep it off for the time being, but in future videos we'll see how we can use these permissions to have more control over who can do what. So this is all I wanted to share in this video. We'll be creating more videos on various aspects of test management for Jira, and the next video will be on a topic of using test management for Jira for a simple small project with a link between stories and test cases. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new today. Thank you very much.